Crash Course American Studies. My name is Alishva.
And my name's Caitlin.
Today we will be talking about the New Netherlands, the Dutch, and their contribution to America. The Dutch are very important to American history and founded New Netherlands, which is New York in present day. New Netherlands grew as more colonists arrived from Europe, and by the mid-1620s, for about $24 in trade goods, the Dutch purchased the one and only Manhattan Island. Now, Caitlin will talk about the settlement patterns of the Dutch into New Netherlands.
Dutch entrepreneurs established New Netherlands, a series of trading post towns and forts up and down the Hudson River. They promised cheap land after 6 years. They built many forts for battle and built many trading posts. At first, the Dutch's main priority were war and trading. However, within a few years, leaders wanted to build an agricultural colony to support trading goals. Dutch settlements were relatively small, and their settlers were mixed ethnicities. Now, Lishma, tell us about the economic model the Dutch used and how they exchanged goods and services.
Initially, beaver pelts purchased from local Indians were the colony's primary source of wealth. In Europe, these pelts were used to produce fashionable men's hats. Over time, the Dutch economy not only extended but also diversified. It turned into an entrepot for cheesecake, tobacco, and a center point of exchange between New England and the Caribbean. In fact, between 1580 and 1650, the Dutch became dominant in European exchange due to their large-scale commercial agribusiness and fisheries, market-oriented manufacturing, and a low-cost shipping system. The Dutch colonies also exchanged with the Native Americans. The merchandise included metal tools, woven cloth from the Europeans, beaver pelts, and corn from the Native Americans. Now, Caitlin will talk about how the Dutch governed themselves and what type of governments the Dutch implemented.
In the New Netherlands, there was no democratic government or town council or elected assembly present. The political system let civil liberties play out, which resulted in people letting them have the chance to speak freely in the government. This was the first republic government system to let the people have individual rights.
I think the fort should be west.
Yes.
Well, west.
I think the fort should be east.
No.
West. Come on.
No.
Now Lishma will further talk about these concepts of liberties and how the Dutch understood this concept.
The Dutch have been set as the cradle of present-day American liberalism, yes, Hillary Clinton liberalism, due to its live and let acceptance of social differences. The Dutch were tolerant individuals. A large number of the settlers escaped from Europe as a result of religious oppression, war, or natural disasters. The New Netherlands formed into a culturally diverse and politically strong province. Women had economic rights they wouldn't have gotten in England. In fact, even some slaves had rights. Surprising, huh? New Netherlands Dutch colonies were granted protection and benefits of self-government. Due to the tolerant and laid-back nature of the Dutch colonists, they had quite a few rivals viewing their ways as immoral and against Puritan ways. Now let's transition to property rights.
Thanks, Lishma. The Dutch were very interesting when it came into property rights. In New Netherlands, women had the right to own property. Even slaves had half freedom. They were granted some land to support their family. In fact, to attract more settlers, the Dutch West India Company promised the colonists cheap livestock and free land after 6 years of labor. In 1629, freedom of exemptions was passed. This offered large estates to patroons.
Caitlin, what are patroons?
Crap, let me Google that. Oh, Lishma. It's when a person is given land and guaranteed certain manorial privileges under the former Dutch government of the New York and New Jersey. Now let's get back. Tell us about the religious beliefs of the Dutch and in the New Netherlands.
The Dutch colony of New Netherlands in the 17th century enjoyed a greater diversity of religious beliefs than any of the English colonies in America at the time except possibly Rhode Island. In fact, the settlers of New Netherlands were obligated to uphold religious toleration as a legal right by the Dutch Republic's founding document, the 1579 Union of Utrecht. This stated that everyone shall remain free in religion and that no one may be persecuted or investigated because of religion. For early American historians, this statement, unique in the world at its time, lies at the root of American pluralism. But to clarify, although there was religious freedom, the Dutch Reformed Church was the largest Christian denomination in the Netherlands from the onset of the Protestant Reformation until 1930. The church functioned until 2004, the year it merged with the Reformed churches in the Netherlands and the Evangelical Lutheran Church in the Kingdom of the Netherlands to form the Protestant Church in the Netherlands. Caitlin, tell us about the social indicators, aka education, leisure, and family.
Sure, Lishma. Just like today, most Dutch children went to school. Yes, when I mean everyone, I mean rich and poor. Most families did pay a fee to go to school to their local schoolmaster, but students who were unable to pay the fee were admitted to school for free. Unlike the others, the Dutch colonies believed that both girls and boys should learn and be able to go to school. At school, children were taught manners and proper values. They studied the Bible and memorized the teaching of the Dutch Reformed Church. In fact, some of the rules we still use today. No screaming, swearing, gambling, lying, stealing, fighting, name-calling, or throwing snot or lice. In Dutch homes, people slept in bedsteads. Bedsteads were bed boxes that can close from the inside to protect us from the cold air. By age 7, children were expected to do their chores. Boys worked with their fathers, chopping wood for cooking, heating the home, wet fishing, and hunting. Daughters learned how to cook, sew, and clean the house with their mothers. Boys and girls helped tend to the family's crops and livestock. Boys usually learned their father's trade. First colonists lived in square pits, cellars, covered in wood and bricks. But these were temporary until they were able to build their basic cottage. After the basic cottage were built, they used better wooden houses and eventually went to stone and brick houses. Unfortunately, many children did not make it to childhood due to injuries and diseases. Children were more likely to lose a parent or even both back then. Almost everyone traded in furs, but not everyone were traders. In fact, most were farmers. Along with traders and farmers, shipbuilders, millers, shopkeepers, and tailors. Colonists in the New Netherlands did not use coins to buy goods, but rather in fact used furs and shell beads to pay. This was called wampoek, or seehond. Along the form of payment beads, they were used for ceremonial or decorated functions. Elizabeth, tell us about the balance between individuals and community.
Sure, Caitlin. The colonists worked and invested some of their earnings in the West India Stock Company. The colonists did this to make a profit and ultimately gain for the colony. Colonists make sure the farms are located in strategic locations so they can protect against enemies. Even to this day, the Dutch have a sense of same living, aka community and living together. The Dutch have always valued this trait of togetherness. Caitlin, tell us about the myths and beliefs of the Dutch and how they are still present in present-day American society.
Well, the Dutch pride themselves on the devotion to liberty, and this is something America emphasizes a lot. Although the Dutch cherished their freedom, they hardly governed democratically in the New Netherlands. However, the colonists did possess more liberty, especially in religion, than others in North America. In the New Netherlands, slaves had more rights than other places in America, or even the world. Some slaves had half freedoms. Half freedom is when a slave was required to pay an annual fee to the company they worked for, and in return they were given land to support their family. Today, slavery is illegal in America. In the New Netherlands, women had much more independence than in other colonies. The Dutch stated that married women retained separate legal identities when they were married, and they were allowed to go to court. They were allowed to borrow money and own property. Men shared their properties with their wives, and the wills left possessions to widows and daughters, not only the sons. In America today, most women have these. The Dutch belief in religious tolerance attracted many people from around the world. The religious tolerance also attracted Protestants, Catholics, and Jews, even though they were difficulties with Jews, because they were called members of the deceitful race. By Governor Peter S. In America today, although racism exists, there's a significant increase in religious tolerance compared to the earlier days. Now, Elizabeth, tell us about the lasting impacts the Dutch and the colony of the New Netherlands had on America, culturally, politically, and geographically.
Sure thing, Caitlin. Let's start with cultural influences. Firstly, about 1% of the English language is due to Dutch influence. Although it may not seem like a lot, remember the English language is over 750k words. Next, many of the foods we eat today are based on traditional Dutch dishes. Since most Dutch Americans had little income, the foods were made with simple ingredients like meat, potatoes, and other veggies. Dutch-style architecture can also be seen throughout the country. Houses built in the Dutch style commonly feature prominent front doors, large windows, and narrow boxy shapes. The Dutch are also known for building their houses into neat, organized blocks, which can be seen in bigger American cities, for example, New York. Windmills were also a big part of Dutch culture. Because the country is surrounded by a lot of water, they've used them for centuries to rain off excess groundwater. They brought this technology to America, where we developed other uses for them, like electricity. Now, let's talk politics. The Dutch Republic is one of the finest nation-states of Europe, where citizenship and civil liberties were extended to large segments of the population. In fact, the Netherlands have been a model for American core principles and concepts of freedom, like freedom of speech, suffrage, press, and religion. The framers of the U.S. Constitution were influenced by the Constitution of the Republic of the United Provinces, though that influence was more as an example of things to avoid than of things to imitate. If we continue to look at modern-day Dutch influence on human rights, you will note that new freedoms such as gay marriage, Amsterdam is considered the gay capital of the world in that respect, abortion, female rights, euthanasia, rights to end one's own life, and reduce related crime, and quite a few other controversial topics and ideas spring forth from the Netherlands. Furthermore, the human rights of eco-movements are also quite strong in the Netherlands. Eco-organizations such as Greenpeace and Shepherd have their HQ in New Netherlands. Capitalism in the form of free trade is a Dutch invention. The first stock company in the world was formed in the Netherlands, called the VOC. Lastly, a major geographical influence the Dutch have on present-day America is the fact that the Dutch possessed New Netherlands, later to be called New York. for 40 years. New York is one of the busiest states in the USA today. Thank you for watching Crash Course AMSTUD. Hope you learned something new. Until next time, we are signing off.